inclusion perspective to that. And the last question was ID from IDC. Who do men represent? Why do men represent women? I think that is not the question. I think it's not a question for today, because why? We are saying women has been excluded, right? So for women to be included, who is going to come and include the women? The men.
Hey.
So that's why I'm here.
Hey.
I refuse to accept that.
It's not acceptable. Hey.
Don't tell me that I don't leave you.
Hey.
It's a he or she.
But it's a man that remove women now. So it's a man that will bring the women back again.
See, women are first. They always been men.
No, actually, it's not that we're always bringing the men. In my space, she can tell you, it's not like thingy. We have been in this space for 17 years. I relocated from England for this in Nigeria. And we support what the NDC is doing. There are some think tanks. So even if the fact that I'm here, it's a good thing that I'm here. I didn't know I would be in Women Affairs. I happen to be in Ministry of Women Affairs. So if I'm in Ministry of Petroleum, I will still be speaking the same language as relates to Ministry of Development. But ironically, 10 years ago, I started including gender responsiveness in all my letters to government. I started including it. I did not know, but I just started including it. Here we are, 10 years later. Gender responsive inclusion, we're trying to implement it. So the transport sector, we've scaled that, we're implementing. The oil and gas sector, LPG, clean cook stove, LPG infrastructure, LPG, even piping. Then funding, because she has to take over, funding women in LPG, Nigerian Content Management Development Board. They have $50 million. $20 million. Somebody's okay. No, let's give that person mic to share what they're sharing so we'll be able to know their conversation. So, and the Nigerian Content Development Management Board, there's $50 million there to support gender with 20 million. There's a gender fund for 20 million to support women in LPG infrastructure. Not just, when I say LPG, please don't just think clean cooking alone. They're supporting infrastructure programs, clean cooking stove programs, supply chain programs. So it's cut across. Then there's 10 million for 20 million for all genders. And then there's, I think, 10 million for capacity building and all that. So again, we're seeing how we've engaged them. And we want to know how this thing can be accessed by women. Because when you're saying you want to give first timers, and then you ask them to bring 3-year tax clearance, 3-year this, 3-year that, you've removed the people that are affected. This is my current situation now, where I'm sitting. It's like, I'm trying to address, how do you reduce all these criteria? You know, you put this, you know, so if you want to come, you must be associated with an IOC. How are you going to be associated with an IOC? So these are all the things that we are, even interest rates. We're looking at interest rates. So this NDC has supported women that are in the energy sector. They are now looking at how do we make this sustainable for the end users. And that's where we're working on now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we clap for Ministry of Women Affairs? At least we are seeing that they are working. They are working, they are promoting. No question again. Thank you very much. Meet him to assign.
Don't make it about me. It's about the ministry. So let them. It's about the ministry. So let them.
Fast to
yes, yes, ma'am. I just want to add some things to what my Oga said concerning the ministry, taking them along while going for offshore assignment.
Okay.
There are certifications
That's required. So you can't just go.
Something like helicopter, underwater escape training, OSET, then OSP, offshore safety permit. You will need to have all that in place before you can go offshore.
So maybe you should.
They can also go on and be trained.
So you have to have all that.
Be licensed.
standby
Okay.
before you can now say, okay, this officer can just.
So how long would that take? If somebody wants to now acquire that, how long would it take?
3 months, right?
No, let him answer. Let him answer.
A month can
I am in the
In a month.
system, I know about it.
A month is okay, you can get all those.
Okay. So why don't we do like select one person that is here now, select maybe another woman to join in, and then see how the three of us can go under that train, so we can come on so we can be going on this.
If you make it official,
Oil and gas.
make it official.
Yeah.
Then we can now
The
tailor your
IOC that even
list,
invites
our own list
Yeah.
to the operators.
the ministry to
It's your
Most
operators
times
that offer the training.
the training.
Not the ministry.
No, he's saying this man has this.
Operators,
Like,
when the
he
list
has
come, we
something.
include them, one
I
of
said
them.
it can be done officially.
Yeah.
Write it later. We want
That's
to
it.
jointly monitor oil and gas facilities with the environmental assessment department. These are the nominees. Based on
Gender,
women,
genders,
responsiveness.
in oil and gas
Oil and
facility,
gas facilities.
or
It's working
in bracket, Rick, in oil and gas facility, Rick.
Once you write to us, attention, the director of our department, she is a woman.
She's the one, she's gender
She's very,
sensitive.
very gender
Us,
sensitive.
who is it? Us is who?
When the
The
department of
The Ministry of Environment.
Federal Environment,
You're in the environment.
Yes.
I know what Minister of Environment, what Minister of Petroleum.
instead of
We are
petroleum,
regulators.
you will just hang somewhere, your file will, your letter will just be somewhere. No, okay.
I
I'll just do
would
the two.
want to, yeah.
Do the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
One
this.
will pass out the other.
But EA department it's more progressive. They will carry you fast because they have EIA Act, is backed by them, and this oil and gas sector, they
Operators.
have been working with them for a long time.
About EIA is to manage environmental impact assessment.
Assessment.
We're doing gender inclusion.
Mm.
Now,
So-
based on this gender
Inclusion.
inclusion tool that we have, based on the NDC that's gender responsive, Women Affairs can now write to them,
For us to mainstream
and they
gender
are already
inclusion
aware of
in
it.
the approval.
The director is already aware, so it's not going to be new to have actually sent documents to her. So she's very, very aware of it. So all she needs now is
Official
for Ministry of Women Affairs to actually show interest that they are willing to partner with EA departments to make sure that whatsoever is happening in the offshore or oil and gas sector, that women are included.
I don't think we should call it like whatever is happening because we have
Don't say
a.
no.
Gender
It
responsive.
has to be coined.
Let me
It has to be
explain.
coined in.
Because we have a opportunity for us to hold these guys.
Yes.
They come to us for that EIA approval.
Exactly.
So now,
tell them.
and that, yes, we have conditions
Yeah.
before we give them.
Yeah.
So can say, okay, one of the conditions is just add a line, a clause,
Yes.
And also
implement
good.
this.
And also and
That's all.
unless people touch another thing, and I'm glad that you mentioned this. Also, I know them, the NDDC and all that. I've been trying to engage them from the point of view of Ministry of Women Affairs, and obviously we're not getting the same response that maybe you would get because of the EIA, or maybe the same response that they will give the Ministry of Petroleum. That same response is not there. But I think with and I think going that, because there has to be awareness, advocacy that is encouraging women, and there's a platform that is encouraging women in this oil rig space that you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
But are women interested in that oil rig space too?
Yes.
Because there's another thing having this conversation here, because like lawyers now, you can't say women want to be lawyer. Women go to school and they want to be lawyer. So how many people in a university tertiary level have submitted their women affairs cannot force parents, cannot force it. Hold on. What we're saying is this: how many women? I think the first place for us to look at. It's not about just telling government to just do this, do that, or saying let's look at university level. When you're submitting your certificate, what you want to study, how many women? Let's even do a data for the university level of the Ministry of Education to know have women
have women,
I think
can we want you get the mic so you will talk. Can women, you didn't take the mic and raise the issue. Now I raise the issue, you get solution. You can answer now, you say women matter. We are here for this, don't worry about time. We are here for this.
Exactly.
We are here for this. You took 2 hours. I sit down there, look you, talk. Your voice even went, didn't stop. So let us continue. This is why we're here.
So you can speak
So I think because we come up with things, and I don't want us to go off rail, and what we want them to implement, what policy we want them to include, we miss it by looking at the thing that women are not even. So I know I have female friends who I'm gonna call. Maybe after this, I will call them and say, please, what is your gender women experience when you go offshore? Because she goes like 3 months and then she comes back. Do you get? So I think so. We should also look at how many women in university have gone into university, because sometimes you go and study something in Nigeria, then they'll give you another course, different from what you studied in school. So maybe we will now say, okay, women that have come to study what will make them as oil and gas operators in the rig, they must not shift them. They must let them study those courses, because don't shift them and think, oh no, a man can come and do this one. So let's make sure that they are in there, and then from school, encourage, nurture them to want to go on the rig. It's not about saying, Minister of Women Affairs, are we going to go and flog women and say, come and go on the rig? No. So let's come up with ideas that can be effectively implemented, practical solutions, and then is it going to scale, and then is it going to be sustainable? And I think that would be a way forward in this big thing.
That's it.
Tell your children they can be engineers.
You hear what I was saying?
Decision
It's the
makers.
same thing. You have to
Please,
start it.
we clap for him and then women affairs. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Please let them say something. Let's so that we just know that.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I know you work with the Minister of Women Affairs,
This is too serious.
right? Before I even go, my name is Engineer Judah. I'm from the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. I know how the ministry operates because I work in one. Anything could happen, Tinubu comes and the minister is moved. What effort are you making to institutionalize all these ideas and all these projects that you guys have come up with? How is the Department of Gender being carried along to all these projects that you guys have been implementing? How are you institutionalizing it? Because when you leave today, somebody comes up and starts a new program fresh and all. My second question or a comment. Somebody was saying that you sent a fight to Ministry of Petroleum Resources and it's not treated. Please change that mindset. Please change that mindset. Ministry of Petroleum Resources is not like that. It's like every other ministry. Sometimes you have the minister's office operating away from the department. So sometimes you have CAs who come from outside the ministry, working with the ministers, and they pick the files or the letters that are important to them and they keep it and the job is there. So change that mindset. I'm from the ministry, I'm an engineer in the ministry, and I know that anything that comes down from the minister's office is being treated. We can't go to the minister's office and start telling them that, oh, this thing came, you're giving it to your TA is not treating it, you start creating issues.
Are we recording? Is this being recorded?
Thank you.
Okay,
I think
there are some things that.
that one is.
Okay, there's some things that Alfred, yes, important so that they don't go and take space. So your first question was, how am I integrating for the ministry? So one of my job, my primary mandate in Nigeria with the federal government from the Federal Ministry of Environment for over a decade now was to support, as a partner to the Ministry of Environment, is to support MDAs, ministries, departments, agencies across the federal level and the state level and local government in reducing the carbon footprint in Nigeria, come up with project ideas, design, project development. And well, that's when I said I had one line there that says gender responsiveness, and so with that, and then for a climate resilient environment and for carbon and all these things. So I understand before I even got this portfolio now that I have, my role was primarily connecting the minister's office and what the ministry is doing and what the UN is doing under the NDC. That was my role. So you can imagine me in the ministry now when I get a letter. This program, this launch, NDC launch program for the first day, I was 45 minutes late, if I'm not mistaken. To me, when Lorenzo was Monday last week. I was 45 minutes late. Do you want to know why I was 45 minutes late? I got a letter from the UN early telling me essay on climate change and gender needs to be at this event. 2 days before the time, a week before the time, I disseminated information. But on the day of the event, I didn't just enter the car and start driving here. Because what am I driving here for? I was stayed back to make sure that the director and the staff of the gender followed me together. And that's how I operate. So when I came 45 minutes late, what happened after that is not going to be on record. But there was somebody sitting down there in my seat.
Yeah.
And the person that's sitting down there, their job is to make sure that the ministry is included. So me, the essay, was shuffling up and down ministries, offices. Where is this people? Program day today. Where now? What's going on? Not knowing that the person that's supposed to even coordinate. So these gaps is actually within the ministry, not from the top sometimes. So it's a collective effort. Together, we can make it better. But I do make sure that the ministry is there because, like you said, it's nobody's permanent job. It's nobody's permanent job, and I don't see me dying there. So I know somebody will take over. So most time, I want to make sure that things are institutionalized moving forward. So you're off my mind. Oh, you actually did it? Okay. I'm not taking the mic.
Please, can we? Thank you very much, sir. Please. Just go.
You've overdo. Overdo.
You have eaten deep into our. Let me carry it to your honorable sister. Let me help you with this.
I will tell them that you put me at the back.
I didn't put you at the back.
I sat there, I'm fine. So that man
Please, most importantly, collect his number.
Yeah.
I used to call out his number, even without his permission, because I said I told him that whatever we are doing here is not just to talk. Please bombard him. I'm going to call his number. You don't need to. I'm going to give out his number without his permission. I call.
It's LinkedIn.
Meet him. Take his number. Whatever question you need from me, whatever collaboration you need from Ministry of Women Affairs, please don't allow him to go like that. And he's very accessible.
Yeah.
Okay, he's accessible. So please, let's move on.
Honestly, we have to fast forward some.
So please, what we are going to do now, we are going to dive deep into the toolkit, different aspects of the toolkit, because our case study is based on that.
What's happening? It's coming up.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I think I'll stand this way. Okay, we have our payment sheets here. And what we require from is your account name, bank name, account number, your organization, your phone number, and your signature. But please, why I'm making this announcement is that it's very, very important the kind of bank account you will give to us. Please, we will not entertain open money coins and the rest. Otherwise, it will not come to you.
Smart cash.
Smart card, all those ones, we don't need it. Then secondly, please ensure that you have signed the attendance. If you give us your bank account details and you did not sign the attendance, it is assumed you were not here. And if you sign the attendance and you don't provide this information, it is also assumed that you are not here. So thank you for your time.
Thank
I'll just
you.
pass it down. Thank you.
Okay, so moving ahead, let's go through the toolkit architecture. Please. So, like I mentioned before, one house, please. Like I mentioned before, the toolkit is divided into 5 phases. We can remember the 5 phases: diagnosis, planning, implementation, and MRV and reporting. So, this diagnosis, it identifies gender gaps, exposure in working communities, and one of the tools or some of the tools under this. So, can we please one house? The toolkit is divided into 5 phases, and in each of the phase, you have tools that you'll be able to use to mainstream gender in any part or aspect of your project. So you must not necessarily wait at the beginning of the project for you to use this tool, or maybe at the beginning of budgeting to use this tool. If you have projects already running, and that is on implementation phase, you can just go to implementation phase, implementation chapter, and utilize the tool there. So for implementation phase, you will see tools like OHS checklist, that's the occupational health and safety checklist, the reskilling pathway templates, host community planning guidelines. For the diagnosis, you have gender diagnostic questionnaire, you have community risk profiling checklist, you also have the gender policy audit checklist. So this, what you are seeing here is like the different tools, some of the tools you will see in each of these phases. Moving down, when we get this, we can read through. So for the diagnosis phase, you have the institutional inclusion scorecard, which helps you to assess readiness of MDAs, companies to integrate gender responsive safeguard into operation. So these are what we are expected to do when going back. We recommend that we actually use the toolkit to ascertain if our MDAs are gender responsive. So you use the scorecard. Remember, I said that the scorecard will show you your baseline, where you are, and you'll be able to have a target where you need to reach. Then you have the mandate mapping template. This clarifies institutional responsibilities, reporting lines, and gender accountability structure. And also you have the stakeholder functions template, which identifies stakeholder categories across governance levels and define the gender roles. You have the engagement checklist, which ensures participatory consultation, capturing voices of women and vulnerable groups. And then you have the gendered vulnerability mapping tools. these tools, they use some digital tools like the Kobo toolbox to analyze pollution exposure and livelihood risk and socioeconomic impact by gender. Then also, under all these are under the diagnosis phase. You also have the environmental and infrastructure audit check. So this will help you to evaluate environmental conditions, site safety, accessibility through a gender lens by baseline MRV data. Also, you have the institutional gender assessment form, and it helps to measure organizational gender integration in both HR, policy, leadership, and budgeting. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so moving to the planning phase. Under the planning phase, in the toolkit, you have the work plan development matrix. And this, when you deploy it, you'll be able to identify capacity gaps, technical needs, and deliverable for implementation gender responsive projects. Then you have the stakeholder engagement matrix, which defines collaboration and consultation approaches with women groups, cooperatives, CSO, and local leaders. You are seeing inclusion scorecard again. When you see something like box 9 or annex, it's referring to the toolkit that was launched. What I'm reading out from is the training manual. So the inclusion scorecard, we have a scorecard in the diagnosis phase, and we're seeing another inclusion scorecard here for the planning phase. So it helps you to be able to measure institutional and community level inclusion performance, both in leadership and benefit sharing. Also, you have the participation and governance planning template, which is designed to make sure that there is gender balanced decision-making bodies, and it sets parity targets and defines women representation quotas. We talked about having quotas and all that. So this will be able to inform better decision on if there is need for you to have quotas allocated for women representation. Then you have the TOR templates for gender focal units. This provides a structure for defining scope, KPIs, and reporting responsibility for institutional gender focal points. And then you also have the gender diagnostic questionnaire, which uses ESIA, host community consultation, and project scoping to assess gender needs and leadership presence. So we are seeing some templates that we can actually utilize and deploy during various field work that will actually encourage and make sure that gender needs are actually included. Then under the budgeting phase, we have the gender budget tagging template. We talked about budgeting that are not gender responsive and budgeting that does not capture both the vulnerable or internally displaced persons. But with the budget tagging template, you'll be able to track allocation, you'll be able to link spending to gender outcome and MRV indicators. This is just for you to know what you ought to do, what you expected to do, to make sure, especially for funds that are gotten from donors or UNFCCC or even grants that say that you must make it gender responsive. Because the truth is that some of our NDAs used to access funds. In short, it's quite very easy for donors to give funds to government, okay? But after the first phase, it ends there. Why? Because some of the criteria are not being met. They will give you funding and they will tell you that they are looking at you impacting 75% female. And then when you are giving reports, they are not seeing it, they are not seeing the indicators. It's not speaking to them. And that is where it ends. The funding ends there. And that is why for NGOs, from experience, we do all we need to do. It is very challenging, to make sure that whatever criteria the donors have given us, as long as it has to do with gender mainstreaming, that we adhere to it. So another one is the climate finance readiness checklist, which helps you to assess eligibility, institutional preparedness to assess GCF, GEF, and AF gender smart funding. So this, especially GCF has a lot of fund. They have pool of fund available. But the thing is that their criteria is enormous. I used to say that even me, if you download GCF criteria for funding, you run away. Like you leave it and you run away. It's in a zip file. When you open it like this, like to just the way it will come and you say, what is this? Is it for fund? So, but the toolkit is giving you templates, checklists, and the slightest omission of information they will not give. So that is what the toolkit is helping you to be able to assess gender smart funding. Then you have the gender finance scorecard. You are seeing the scorecard, okay? So scorecard is in all the phases and it helps you to screen back programs for women, access to credit, subsidies, and just transition enterprise financing. Also, the budget MRV linkage matrix helps you to connect expenditure tracking to MRV indicators for transparency in reporting and gender-related investments. Moving on to implementation. Under implementation phase, you have the OHS checklist. It evaluates workplace hazards, PPE distribution, compliance with gender-sensitive OHS standard. And then you have the community inclusion planning tool, which ensures gender-responsive host community development projects with women's leadership and participation. This is quite very important. With this, you'll be able to even know how to, what will I call it? That there are some invisible barriers for people that have worked, that are working in NGOs and CSOs. There are some invisible barriers when you are actually implementing certain projects. And it has to do with gender, being gender responsive. Take, for instance, one of the projects that we implemented in Niger State. This project and we implemented it in 4 states. But when we got to Niger State, we realized that we couldn't access women. And the criteria for the funding, the donor said that it has to reach 80% women and then 20% men. But we have already implemented in Lagos, in Abuja here, and in Anambra State, and we didn't have such issues. But when we got to Niger State, we realized that where the women are, how we can assess them. 1, you cannot assess them if you are not a woman. 2, you need to lobby, sensitize, talk to their husbands for their permission to partake. It's a capacity building program, and it has to be with their husband's permission. Okay? So by the time we got the husband's permission, but they were like 2 weeks that who will take care of the children? Who will do school run? Who will cook? So it became another task. So if you are using the toolkit and you're able to map your stakeholders, it will be able to give you, before you meet all these problems, heads up, how you'll be able to mitigate such issues, especially if the donor is stating that you must reach certain percentage of women. If you don't do that, that means after your report, that means you will not have the next funding for the next phase. So on that challenge, we lobbied, we begged, and at the end, they agreed because we told them that because the project after the training, they're going to be giving equipment, and then they're going to be giving incentive for each day that they come. So when we now told their husband that they are going to be getting a certain amount of money for each day, they now say, okay, no problem. They now allow them to come based on that. Then we thought the case has closed. During the training, when we reach time to pay, we were not seeing Aisha here with us, and we are seeing Musa account number on the book. And with that, it does not correlate. It will be a problem for us and the donor. And by the time they are still calling their husband, because the husband has given them his own account number to put there. By the time we know it, and say, okay, how are we going to? They try to convince us to pay that money to their own account. But because we want the project to continue, we refused. And then we realized that almost all of them does not have account number. Then we have to start calling OPay and microfinance money point, Banpay to come and register at that center for them to get that funding. And then we thought we have scaled through. Then after that, to now get proof, because we need to get their thumbprint and their face captured, then we realize that with hijab, we cannot take their picture. Especially our men we have mostly men in the ICT. So the people taking they say no, they cannot show their face. So we now have to employ there and then somebody that is speaking, because there was language barrier too. We employ somebody that is speaking their language, and also a woman, and then created a place for them to enter, and then we can be able to take it with the permission of their husband. So you are seeing the challenges. These are invisible barriers that will meet or stop your project before it even starts. And you see the government, when they get funding, they don't really, they will say this bottleneck is just too much. Let's just anyhow. And then it stops there. Second phase will not continue. But for those in NGOs, they make sure, like we make sure we actually delivered. And then you are seeing, by the time we started doing the testimonies, you are seeing how impacted these women are. They have never seen this kind of training or this kind of, but the thing is that when we even went back to the place, because we gave them machines for each clusters, we realized that the organ that is in charge of that cluster, because the organ that is a man that is in charge, has taken the machine from them. So you are seeing a lot of challenges. So what the toolkit helps you to do is to actually map out better projects, locations or areas, or even know, okay, by the time you do some visibility study, you know problem that you are going to meet up front, and know how to actually ameliorate the issues. Also, the land, there is the case of land ownership project that we delivered in the southeast, and they were saying the criteria is that the funding is for women that owns land. We have written proposal, we have packaged everything. Everything is good. So what happened now? That the area we now targeted that funding, nobody there, including me, that came from there. We don't have land.
Including you.
Like, I'm just telling you, in our side, they don't give women. You cannot inherit land. You know, so when I was sharing it here during one of the sessions, you know, I was telling them the bottlenecks that there are funds actually, you know, but because we don't utilize some tools, we will just go and do proposal say we are going to implement it here, and then when we get to the site, we will see bottlenecks and problems that will make us not to deliver. Then somebody was not saying that we would have cited it in Kwara State, that in Ilorin, that they give their women land, that their women actually inherit land. So it's a knowledge to me. Right now, I can go back and revisit that proposal and map it to Kwara State. So these are the things that the toolkit helps you to do. Community inclusion planning too, to ensure that a gender responsive host community projects with women's leadership and participation. I mentioned the one of masquerade, that we went to do projects. There are a lot of issues. We went to do awareness, meet the women. We have already met the chief, and then because they heard that is a grant, definitely money is coming in. We were supposed to meet both the men and the women, but they now fixed the date of the meeting on a day that masquerade will come out. They intentionally did it. And we are coming. And we say, okay, we are the women now. They are telling us that no, they cannot come out today. That masquerade is coming out today, that they cannot, So it became a problem to us because even our logistics is just one day that we say we're going to do this one. And it's not captured in the budget. So are we going to tell the donor that because of masquerade came out, that we have to extend, or where are we going to even get money? The budget now, there is hope, gaps. So these are issues that with the toolkit during the implementation phase or planning phase or at any phase, you'll be able to design and make sure that you take proper decisions that will help you mainstream gender. Then you have the reskilling and upskilling pathway template, which helps you to design and track training programs for women affected by oil phase out or decommissioning. Also, the digital deployment guide. The digital deployment guide gives you step-by-step instruction for Kobo Toolbox. Kobo Toolbox is an app that you can deploy in your field. You must not necessarily have internet. And once you, as a field officer, you are getting the data, putting it on the app, the person at the back end that's in the office can easily get the information. So these are one of the ways, instead of carrying paper and doing all these templates, you can upload it on your Kobo Toolbox. If you want to know more about it, you go to YouTube. There are a lot of resources about how to use the Kobo Toolbox. Then QR form setup is another way to use digital means to actually help you to have a stress-free implementation phase. Some of us, we will have projects, and we have projects in Maiduguri, and our office is in Abuja. Then during monitoring, are you going to be going to Maiduguri every time? So these are the issues. But with the QR form test, even if, like, take for instance, if it's a borehole project, and you want to know if the borehole is working, maybe the person you employed, or maybe a community representative, is not even there. Anybody with phone can easily scan the QR code that will link the person to maybe an email or a contact phone number that this borehole that you put here is no longer working. So you don't need to go from, unless you are looking for something DTA. But for people that are trying to cut down costs, it's not part of the traveling. Even the donor will tell you, why are you traveling every time? The risk and everything. So with QR code, they will tell you it's better you'll be able to get your information using that. And then you have the GIS data collection. Also, you have the MRV dashboard. We've spoken about it. For us to be able to sync our data, to have dashboards, not just to collect data and leave it in our laptop or in our organizations. this data is very important to make informed decisions. And then you have the participatory inclusion tools, which will help you to include focus group discussion guides, participatory mapping forms, and inclusion scorecards for community engagement. So we have the MRV reporting phase, and under the MRV reporting phase, you have the MRV ready indicator matrix. There are actually international standard indicators that are expected for different projects. And if you don't meet up with such indicators, that means they are not going to give you any funding. They are not seeing it. And then your indicators must tally with your objective. So if your objective is saying another thing, and your indicators is saying another thing, they'll know that it's copy and paste that you're doing. So the toolkit gives you MRV ready indicators that you can use. All you need now is to align it to whatever project. But it is this one that they are giving you is gender responsive, okay? It's gender indicators. So if you have projects that are targeting gender, you can utilize these indicators for participation, benefit sharing, livelihood, and policy performance. Also, you have the digital reporting template, and then you have the MRV data collection checklist. You have the dashboard and digital reporting structure. You have the toolkit validation and continuous improvement plan. When we were talking about this MRV, you see, it's more of ICT. And I mentioned that, you need the ICT officers to actually be aware that most of their systems, digital systems that they are utilizing have to be gender responsive. Somebody from Women Affairs, that I think is a director or the assistant director, I've forgotten. Deputy director in Women Affairs, that is in charge of their ICT something. After the training that he had, he said he was not the one that was supposed to come, but the person was not available, and they told him, okay, that he should go and cover for the person. And he was thinking, what is he coming to do? Is it not gender thing, women thing, and all that? And then when he came, he seen an aspect for him to actually deploy in the department. And he was so happy, that at least working with the Women Affairs, he is seeing ways he needs to make sure that whatever, you were asking of data, So I believe within now and next year, that data you are asking, with what this tool is giving that man, you'll be getting it. So this is what the toolkit helps you to do. So we have seen all the toolkits that are included in the oil and gas sector. This is just the expanded special deployment of the toolkit. You are not advised to jump from number 1 to number 17. So if you are in the diagnosis phase or budgeting phase, it's good that you actually deploy it step by step. So that you don't miss anything, okay? So this is showing you, when you see actors, it must not be these people, because if we start putting names here, the document will get filled up. Even if you see names that it's not the name. Somebody was telling me in our Greek sector that the name that we put is the name that Ministry of Agri was answering the other time. I told the person that sure tomorrow they are going to change it. Even next tomorrow, they can change another one. And that is why UNFCCC, what they do is thematic areas. So, and that is what the toolkit has done. The toolkit will tell you this is for oil and gas sector. So, if your name that you are seeing here is no longer that name, just take it like that. All you need is that the toolkit is a guideline that will help you to mainstream gender in your oil and gas activity. So, no need to fight the name. Just enter the car. He's taking you to your destination. Don't mind what is written on the car, as long as it will reach the destination. So with this table, it's still the same thing we talked about, but now it's showing you when to apply or deploy it. purpose of how to deploy step-by-step deployment guide. So you can see the toolkit is doing all the work you need to bring you up to what you are expected to do as a gender focal person or even as any officer in any phase in your organization. So on this note, we will go to our case study, and everybody will be getting the soft copy. This manual, you are going to get the one that was launched on Monday, and also this training manual. So the training manual is more of templates and checklists, and a lot of terms of reference that you use to align with whatever project you are doing. The other one that was launched is also a toolkit, but it has a lot of Turenchi in it. If you like to read and know the foundation and the basis and all that, you will still have it and be able to utilize it. So, any question based on the tools? At least we are now getting from the pre-assessment. You are getting it very clear. It's becoming clear, right? Is it becoming clear?
Yes.
So, moving on to the case study, we are going to divide ourselves into two groups, and we'll be able to solve this scenario. I'm going to read it out, and then we'll be able to divide ourselves into two and then do this. So, Group 1, transition and inclusion in Olobiri community. Applying the gender responsive environmental safeguard and just transition toolkit. So the federal government, are we seeing it from the back? Is it okay? Okay. So the federal government of Nigeria, through the National Council on Climate Change and the Federal Ministry of Environment, is piloting a just transition demonstration project in Olobiri community, Bayelsa State. The project focuses on decommissioning old oil wells and converting some sites into solar mini-grid installation and vocational hubs. While this project aims to reduce emissions and create green jobs, several gender-related challenges have emerged. 1, women report limited involvement in consultations and decision-making on site reuse plan. Female waste handlers and oil spill clean-up workers lack protective gear and safety training. Local cooperatives are dominated by men, controlling access to host community development trust funds. 4, no clear data exists on how many women benefited from skill training or compensation scheme. The institutions, as stated here, lack coordination on gender reporting and budgeting for inclusion. So you are seeing all the things that we have been talking of, is like an issue in this case study. Now, the National Council on Climate Change has tasked the Olobiri State Project Coordination Committee with applying tools from the Gender Responsive Environmental Safeguard and Just Transition Toolkit to strengthen gender outcome during project rollout. So we are going to answer these questions in phases. For the diagnosis phase, the question is, how can you assess gender readiness of key institutions? Which stakeholders, you give your answer, you discuss, and then you give your answer. Then you tell us the toolkits that you can use to deploy for this. Then which stakeholders should be mapped, or what are their mandates? What gender-specific vulnerabilities exist in Olobiri? Then for the planning phase, how can women be more involved in decision-making and host community boards. What should each stakeholder do to support gender-responsive planning? No, we talked about it. And then budget and finance phase. How should budget be tagged to ensure gender inclusion? How can Olobiri assess international climate finance? Then implementation. How can safety and reskilling for women be addressed? Then how can community participation be strengthened? For the MRV reporting, how should gender outcome be monitored and reported to NCCC? And then how can the toolkit be continuously improved after rollout? So you give your answer and then you give us a toolkit that will be used for it. So we are going to divide ourselves into two groups, starting from you.
1, 2,
1, 2. Two. Okay.
1, 2. 1, 1.
Okay, so can group one, group one come this way, and group 2 this way, please. Trying to. We did pre-assessment test. They know what they already know. They know what.
They trust you.
Yes,
They
know.
trust you.
They are experts already.
How much is the prize money for?
We need you. You know, that is why we invited everybody here. You are going to tell us, even after that, how can we improve the toolkit, okay? You know, we need to be sure that you really understood what we are talking about. You know, we have been doing it and it has been engaging. They will attest to it. By the time you finish answering the question, when you go back, you don't even have stress trying to remember the this thing. Please, group one, this one, this way.
Unlock your phone for your woman. Unlock your phone.
Are you taking one?
Yes, I'm taking
Let me
one.
forward
I'm taking
it
one
to
for the
you.
ministry.
Let me forward it.
We don't
to
have
you.
ink in our ministry. You saw it on TV. You saw the when people and the quarrel. Open it for her. Open it for her. She's opening for you now. So give me.
It's nice. Go this one.
So this chat,
Yeah.
please.
No.
Group 2, please. Take 2 copies. Group 1, take 2 copies. Group 2, take 2 copies. No. These chats. So please, can we divide ourselves, okay?
Where's group 2?
And you know,
Okay,
please,
no.
I don't know again.
because we are actually giving recommendations based on our position, both from the environment or from the MDS or from women affairs. So all recommendation we expect here is based on your field, your primary assignment. You know, how can you actually answer this question based so that when you go to the field, if you see such scenario, you will be able to know how to deploy the toolkit and know how to solve the issue. Thank you. Nominate me.
One. Group 1, let's start.
Group 1, please, time.
Where you are?
Where
you are?
That was in the spirit.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to be where this man is. You know, he has solutions. I will move my laptop.
No, why are they using? What are we using this cardboard? Oh,
Okay, maybe do let's explain.
Let me write.
Okay, fine. You can write.
All right.
Give her the pen. Or you read it for us so that you coordinate us. We have our able secretary here. Yes, thank you.
It's okay. It's only. No, I think what we're going to do, let's just be fast with it. The way it is that, we have five phases.
Yeah.
So we have the first one is diagnosis, the second one is planning, the third one is implementation, the fourth one is what's the fourth one again? Budgeting. Then the fifth one is MRO. So what we're going to do is that we're going to read all these questions, then we're going to diagnose problems, as in what are we going to do? Where's this thing? So we're going to read it out now. We'll read it out, then we'll bring out the diagnosis. We know from what she said, the diagnosis. What was supposed to kind of bring. Sorry, sir. So we'll have somebody that will be writing it down.
No, she's writing already.
Okay, she's writing it directly.
Yes.
Writing it directly.
Okay, you want us to write it down somewhere?
No, that's fine, but you can write it.
Yes, it's
If
better
you
you
have
write it directly
directly.
because of time. Okay, please,
So the first listen that was.
excuse me, I said that we would want input based on what you are doing, okay? So it must not necessarily be one answer for one section, okay? So for like, how can you assess the gender readiness for, if you have 5, you can give us minimum of 4 points, or if you have as much, based on if you have people from different ministries who appreciate that. So we're not saying one, we don't want one response. Okay, you can give us 3 or 4, minimum of 3. Thank you.
So before you start, so that we can all be, don't worry, you're anchoring it.
No,
So-
you're the one anchoring.
No, you already started before.
Well, you were not around.
You were rushing on.
Sorry,
You
sir.
were not around.
I give up. Put my hand up.
Sorry, which office are you from? Which ministry?
National Director.
You see, imagine that's I starting without the complete.
No, sorry. I said my hand is up.
I said, we have data. She's the implementer. You have data to prove it. Can you imagine? Fantastic. Okay, thank you. So we're all anchoring, we're all living, we're all together.
Alright.
Transition and inclusion team.
Close it to the
Oloribiri. Is that, am I correct?
Yes.
Oloibiri. Oloibiri.
Yes,
That's
Oloibiri.
somewhere-
Bayelsa, the first place oil was discovered. Olobiri.
1564.
See, now we know that. You see, it's not why it's not good to just rush.
1956.
Is it 1956?
1956. Just 60 something years ago.
MBS.
Yeah.
The first
Olobiri.
is,
Want to hear petroleum's
No, you are hearing well.
Okay, so this did not start to the do it. So, yes, Oloibiri
Yes.
community applying the gender responsive environmental safeguards and just transition toolkit. So the scenario overview we have is the federal government of Nigeria through the National Council on Climate Change and the Federal Ministry of Environment is piloting a just transition demonstration project in Oloibiri community-based Bayelsa. In this first paragraph, what is the gap we have seen? It says National Council on Climate Change, Ministry of Environment. I don't see Ministry of Women Affairs. Is this the gender? No, it is we're talking
Okay.
about gender, right? I mean, that's gender inclusion.
Now, sir, I would
No,
say,
this is-
okay, just to add, I would say there is no really gap there. It's still the
Eh,
implementation
because it's
agency.
men
So
and
the
women.
agency has to do with both female and male.
So he has responded to
Yeah.
with an adequate response. Madam,
you are distracting his class.
I think they should also. Is it one question?
Yes.
My sister, is it one question to this person?
It's one question.
Hello,
It's one.
can we beam the questionnaire on the screen?
That's her laptop and she has
Okay.
done it.
He's from your group. Oh, it's from our group.
Mm.
Okay, I thought he walked all the way.
Okay. Keep this on your hands.
This group is now having 3 sheets.
Yeah, it's okay.
People have 4.
So we have one
Three.
here. We have 2 here. Plus 1, 3. Yeah.
Continue, sir.
Then the project focuses on decommissioning old oil wells and converting some sites. We're going to move these men.
Let's focus. Yes, let's
These men are
focus.
not here.
Right here.
Focuses, so the project focuses on decommissioning old oil wells and converting some sites into solar mini grid installation and vocational hubs. While this project aims to reduce emission and create green jobs, several gender-related challenges have emerged. Women report limited involvement in consultations and decision-making on site reuse plans. Female waste handlers and oil spill cleanup workers lack protective gear and safety training. Local cooperatives are dominated by men, controlling access to host community development trust funds. This host community development trust fund is not dominated by men. It's
I
actually
think for
wrong.
the sake of the exercise we're doing, that's why they keep putting it.
No, it doesn't mean because we're doing an exercise, you must put the wrong information for us to not disseminate.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get? Because you have the Nigerian, Content Management Development Board, who
Exactly.
has made funds available for all genders,
Yeah.
and in fact, 60% is gender women,
Yes.
and 40 is still the general public, but they've earmarked 60% of that for women. So we'll share that. So clear data exists. No clear data exists on how many women benefited from skills training or compensation schemes. Institutions, Federal Ministry of Women, Federal Ministry of Environment, NUPRC, upstream, that's upstream regulatory.
Yes.
And NPC Limited lack coordination on gender reporting and budgeting for inclusion. When I say gender reporting and budgeting for inclusion of that gap. So we'll look at that. The NCCC has tasked the Oloribiri State Project Coordination Committee with applying tools from the Gender Responsive Environmental Safeguard and Just Transition Toolkit to strengthen gender outcomes during project rollout. So question 1, diagnosis: how can you assist the gender readiness of key institutions? But you're the one taking notes, so you're the one writing, so you give that. You can
No,
continue.
you don't need it for guys. So that's writing, you know the number, you understand.
So you will take over. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to be doing now is that place now, this is the first phase we're going to work on. So you put the diagnosis.
I will not say so you put that you're commanding her. So you put.
Okay.
So let's use. So please, can you write down?
Can you write down diagnosis?
Can you
So-
please?
Please, can you
Okay,
write
can
down?
you
Diagnosis?
We should respond, I guess.
No, no need.
No, no.
She's writing. If she's not writing, then we know she's not
But
responding.
we have to know that we
don't
are
put down.
time bound now. They'll
I
soon
don't
come
put
and
down.
call us.
Say she don't put out.
Okay. She has even-
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll be using this together. That's paper. Have you
Okay.
written? So you know
Phase
what
one
to-
diagnosis.
So
You have
phase
written
On the
one.
diagnosis. So we'll just pick one simple.
You're part of. You're part of.
Yeah, snapped it. You just-
Does anybody want to snap it?
So the first question says, can we one house so that we can,
Expected answers discussion point.
how can you assess the gender readiness of key institutions?
So how can you
That's the first question.
how can you assess
That's under diagnosis.
the gender readiness of key institutions? So how do we assess the readiness of MDAs?
Input, please.
Input now. Can we? You two come with your petroleum, oil and gas.
I don't
So
know.
you answer the first question.
Based on your
You-
agency.
No, you want to
Contribute.
it's about what you have the statement in here. So
Yeah.
so far so good. If you check the last bullet point, institutions lack coordination on gender reporting and budgeting for inclusion. So with that, you know that the readiness of key institutions as regards gender inclusiveness might be poor or below par.
So you added gender, so the inclusiveness of gender is poor.
You're supposed to have.
No,
let's
How
have
can you-
a short
That's
statement.
number
The
one.
question, how can you assess the gender
I think we
readiness?
look at
No,
the reporting,
wait,
general reporting. and
Wait
auditing.
now. There are two columns there that we're supposed to input. The first column is expected answer / discussion points. Then the second column is toolkit tools to apply.
Which is why I told him to, which why I said, that's why I said you should write what you
So-
just said there.
There are two columns. Now, what are the you understand?
Gender readiness. You're not writing.
No, she's
gender
writing
readiness.
first so that she gets the correct thing. So gender
There's no
readiness
time.
is
It's
poor.
only 10 minutes. Just be writing it.
So this is what he has said. This is what he has identified first. So you don't have to. You can. Yours can be an answer to the first bullet point, the second bullet point, or the third. Do you have a copy of the letter, madam? So do you have a copy? Okay.
So gender readiness.
So
I think
gender
you don't even
readiness,
need to even do
women
this.
report limited
Because
involvement
it's
in
going to take a whole
consultations
lot
and
of
decision
time.
making.
You just
on
want to
Just to
pick
be
one.
science,
or
that would be
two.
for expected results.
That ticket can go under that expected.
So how can we have more women involved in consultation and decision making on site?
Please, sir. She has not written. Let's finish the first one.
She's slow.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. That
You're
drawing
slow.
that
You need
we don't
somebody
have
who
time.
is more
Done
active.
already. No, she's done. She's very. That's all.
You were on the first, you were on the other, that first group.
Okay, so just write it.
So-
Gender readiness one. That took it will not even take much time.
Gender
Just-
Maybe we should give it to her. But the way she's
No,
come
no,
out,
no.
maybe
She
we
will
give
do
it
it.
to her,
Continue. And with her.
Gender readiness. Okay, let's move to the second question.
No, what are the toolkits?
The toolkits we'll talk about
It's
this
low.
so now. We'll bring it down. That's
This
why I was
is
saying
low.
that toolkit.
Let's finish it
No,
up.
no,
No,
hold on. Let me coordinate this, please. It's taking from you now. I don't hijack her from you.
No, group two. Finish.
The question is,